The Mummy, the Will, and the Crypt by John Bellairs, Chapter 15. Johnny screamed. He dropped the flashlight and ran blindly into the night as the snow swirled around him. Now he saw the vast shadow of the old mansion looming up before him. He could make out its blank, forbidding wall of stone towering up into the night. Madly, Johnny raced along the wall, looking for a door. He wished he could see where he was going. It was pitch black out, and if a pit suddenly opened up before his feet, he would fall right in. Now the wall was turning. Johnny turned too. He had seen a couple of tall windows and heavy stone frames, but no doors, none at all. Then he saw it, a low door half sunk in the ground. He could hide till morning, and maybe the awful thing would go away. Johnny was filled with terror. He didn't want to die. He didn't want to end up like Chad. No, not like that. He was at the door. He shook the knob, but it held tight. Johnny shut his eyes and screamed, "Let me in! Let me in!" He pounded on the door. Horribly, he felt something clawing weakly at his back. Was Chad trying to stop him from entering the building? Was he trying to help him? The thought raced madly through Johnny's brain. Oh, God, please," Johnny gasped, and then incredibly the door opened. He did not stop to wonder why, but plunged in and slammed it shut behind him. He had escaped, but what had he escaped into? There had been a little light outside, but there was none in here. There was none at all here. Groping like a blind man, Johnny found a stair railing. Up he went, shuffling one step at a time. At the top he found another door and opened it. A musty, shut-up smell rushed out to meet him. While Johnny was wondering what kind of room he was in, thunder rumbled overhead and lightning flashed. For a brief instant he saw a huge kitchen with a long counter running down the middle, and copper kettles hanging from a rack overhead. At the far end of the kitchen was another door. He felt like a rat caught in a maze or a pinball in a pinball machine. Lightning flashed again, and this time Johnny made a dash for it. The heavy door boomed behind him. Now he was in the dark again, but as he felt his way along, his hand rubbed the top of something smooth, a table probably. Again, there was a sudden flash of lightning in the three tall windows, and Johnny had a brief glimpse of an enormous paneled dining room. A table as long as a bowling alley ran down the middle, and rows of high-backed chairs flanked it. He was standing by a low side table, and on the table were candles, just what he needed. Now, if only he could find some matches. Blindly, he groped across the dusty surface of the table. He heard things fall, and something rolled off the table and smashed on the floor. Then his hand closed over a small box. He pushed at the end and slid it. He pushed at the end and it slid in. A matchbox. Johnny's fumbling fingers found small stick matches. He felt the side of the box, and brrrip went the match. A pinpoint of sulphurous light flared, and with a trembling hand Johnny lit the candle. Ah, blessed light! Johnny tottered forward across the dusty floor. The candlelight glimmered in a row of tall mirrors to his right. His shadowy reflection made Johnny jump. He stumbled this way and that, holding the candle up and straining his eyes till his head ached. There had to be a way out, a main entrance, or another side entrance. Something, anything. Johnny gritted his teeth. He would get out of it if it killed him. Ghosts or no ghosts, mummies or no, a silvery voice began to sing. High-pitched and mocking. A tisket, a tasket, a wheel in a wicker basket. And then I found it, I green and yellow found it. The voice died away. Then Johnny glanced at his candle. The flame was burning blue. The guardian was here! For a second he went numb with terror, but he summoned up all his willpower and forced himself to stumble ahead across the dusty floor. He pushed open a set of tall French doors and crossed another room. He paused and looked this way and that, in utter bewilderment, and then the walls of the room began to shake. A cobwebbed chandelier trembled overhead, and its thousands of glass pendants set up a loud, alarmed clattering. Panicked, Johnny rushed off to the right. He had seen another set of French doors there. The walls and the floor continued to pitch and heave like the deck of a ship in a storm. Johnny slipped to his knees. The flame of the candle wavered, but did not go out. Staggering to his feet, he made it to the doors, shoved them open, and stepped out onto a curved stone balcony. In the distance, beyond the chapel and the iron fence, he saw headlights. A car! But whose car? And what were they doing? Then he turned and looked up. A row of ornamental stone doodads ran along the top of the mansion. Vases, balls, obelisks, with carved swags and lions' heads on them, and they were all lit with a ghostly green fire that flickered and made halos in the air. A sudden gust of wind blew snow at Johnny, and his candle went out. But then lightning flashed, and Johnny saw that he was standing next to something, a huge statue of a warrior in chainmail. The warrior wore over his suit of mail a surcoat with a Maltese cross on it. The warrior's face was grim, and he had a long drooping mustache. His enormous arm clutched the hilt of his sword, and he seemed to be just about to draw it from the scabbard. On the base of the statue a name was carved. Johnny had seen it for only a tenth of a second, but he had been able to make it out. It was a name he knew from history books. Godfrey de Bouillon. Godfrey de Bouillon. Herbock's bouillon cubes. Johnny's brain turned somersaults. It spun like a merry-go-round gone crazy. What if he had found the will? Had he thrown away the greatest clue of all? Could he still? As if in answer, the building rocked. It shook as if the walls were made of cardboard and pieces of stone. Roof tiles and bricks from the chimney stack came raining down. The room that Johnny had just left was already on fire. Huge, jagged cracks had opened in the floor, and red flames were shooting up through them. Again the mansion shook. The enormous statue tottered on its base and then went crashing through the railing of the balcony. Johnny clung to a carved pilaster and prayed, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, hear our prayers and grant our petitions. Jesus, Mary, and something hit him on the head, and he blacked out. And that's the end of chapter 15.